Natalie Portman stars in Annihilation, the new sci-fi thriller-ish movie from Alex Garland, who also directed Ex Machina. The premise of the film is that a meteor hits Earth and creates what is called a shimmer. Basically, it's a perimeter around a certain area of land, and it's all rainbowy and everything, and when people go in, they don't come out. Natalie Portman is an Army veteran who is now a biologist at Johns Hopkins. She has a special set of skills that can be used for her to go into the shimmer to get information. Upon entering the shimmer, all kinds of mutations are seen, and Natalie Portman is able to discern that these are ongoing mutations that are just happening, and they shouldn't be happening. Species are crossbreeding and cross-pollinating. What I liked about the film is that it was visually stunning. The special effects and the visual effects are awesome. The use of color and the use of the rainbows to create this prism effect is just spectacular. There's quite a lot of lens flares a la J.J. Abrams, but in this they fit. They actually work, because if you're thinking about a prism and how it refracts light and how it bends the light, you would see some lens flares. While there's a lot of them, it's not distracting and it's not out of place, and so they actually add a lot to the story, at least visually. Natalie Portman did a great job. Jennifer Jason Leigh was awesome as well, as a kind of a brooding scientist. You don't totally know what's going on with her. Oscar Isaac plays Natalie Portman's husband, and he is good in the scenes that he's in. He's actually not in quite a lot of the film. Tessa Thompson, who we saw as Valkyrie in Thor Ragnarok, she's in there and she's good, but I don't feel that her character is totally well developed. And so I find myself wanting more. And when the climax with her character happens, I'm not sure I cared. I think the story suffers from having way too much information that it's trying to convey, and not enough time and maybe not enough know-how on how to actually do that. I find myself leaving the movie with a lot more questions than answers, and while that's not a bad thing, to be able to question and have a good discussion afterwards, I like to have some, at least, ammunition, so that I have facts, or that I have at least some information, so that I can formulate some answers as I ask these questions and we discuss. A lot of the soundtrack in Annihilation is out of place or seems mismatched. There's what I would call as poor filmmaking, in the sense that they would use some music as a transition that you would normally use to show over time, or some compilation or something like that, to move the story along, because you're going from point A to point B and it's going to take a while, and so you would play some music that would show this trek going on. Unfortunately though, the music that's played is kind of folksy, doesn't fit the feel of the movie at all, and is repeated several times. I would have found it much more effective as Natalie Portman is trekking from point A to point B, and it's really not that long, that you would hear the crunching of the leaves, and that you would see her as she's moving along, and you would hear her breaths and understand that this is a trek, that it's actually taking some effort to go where she's trying to go. I think that would draw you in more to what's going on, to the environment, than just having this folksy guitar play over the background. I found it to be actually distracting, and I felt that it pulled me out of what was going on, and that's unfortunate. There were some great parts of the soundtrack as well. At the end, the use of it was this kind of ethereal, industrial, ambient type of just sound and noise, and with some melody going on through it, and it really just focused you in, drew you in, and it worked well with what I was seeing visually. Most of the use of flashbacks in the film don't add to the story at all. And without giving anything away, I think it actually just really distracts. I think it just adds time to the film. And really, if you take it out, the end and the outcome of the movie don't change at all. There's a theme that goes on through the movie of never ending, or infinity, or constantly progressing, constantly changing, and never dying. And that's represented in several ways, visually and through some of the dialogue. If you're listening or paying attention, it's kind of obvious. I don't think though that it adds to the final answer of the movie. At the climax of the film, I'm not quite sure that it sticks to its own rules that it's set up within the story. Now I'm not going to give you any spoilers, I'm not going to tell you what happens. It left me wondering, was it just to nicely wrap it up? Or did they forget what they were doing? I don't really know. The movie Annihilation is based on a novel by Jeff Vandermeer, And I'm really quite interested in reading the book because I think there's probably a lot of detail in it that wasn't able to be told or explained as the movie was going on. And so I think a lot of it just ended up either unshot or on the editing floor for time. The movie definitely could have used some more of the storytelling and some more of the detail to help connect the dots a little bit closer so that I'm not left with so many questions at the end. One of the questions we had regarding the film and as it wraps up in the central messages, is it about the human condition? And while you can certainly see parts of that, I don't think there's enough supporting evidence within the story to actually make a social commentary about it. If that's what they were trying to convey, I think they missed the mark. They didn't explain why the human condition was a central part to the story. So I'm not convinced. Maybe it is part of the story. Maybe it was something that the director was trying to convey. But again, I'm left with an unanswered question. I don't think there were really any surprise moments in the film. There is a twist, but it's not really a twist if you've been paying any attention at all. If, when this happens, you go, I didn't even see that coming, I think you need to examine yourself just a little bit and maybe pay closer attention to what's going on the screen than in your popcorn bucket. Overall, Annihilation was a good movie to watch. It was visually just amazing and beautiful. Story-wise though, it just kind of fell flat and it left me feeling empty and hollow and that they didn't really convey anything. So at the end, did I care? Not really. The movie reminded me a bit of Arrival, except without the awesome plot and storytelling. So maybe did it really remind me at all? I don't know. There was a slight feel to it. And maybe that was just the scientists in the Tyvek suits talking to somebody else. I don't know, maybe. So maybe that's a weak comparison. But hey, if you haven't seen Arrival, go check that out because that's totally worth seeing. It's not an alien movie at all, despite what the trailers look like it is. Check that one out. Would I watch Annihilation again? Yeah, I'd probably watch it again just to see if I could pick up any more details and certainly to watch the visual part of it. Paying full price at the theater? No, I think it's definitely a matinee if you're gonna see it in the theater, or you wait until Redbox or Netflix. There you can't go wrong. There is some sex, no nudity, there's some violence, and some of it is quite graphic and surprising really at the effects that they used. It was awesome to watch. There is some language. It's definitely geared more towards teens and adults than little kids. I give Annihilation 3 out of 5 couches. If you've seen it, I'd love to hear your thoughts. You can leave them below in the comments. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button and certainly subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.